Also, you got this. Elon Musk's pushing into the financial services with a Visa deal while immediately after taking out the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It's crazy. Source, not doubting you, have just never heard of this till today. Which one do you want to source for? Donald Trump charging the federal government? Anyway, if only we could get Republicans to think that, like, the carceral state is woke and gay and incredibly costly. The AP says it was barred from covering a White House event because of its editorial policy regarding the Gulf of Mexico. Today, we were informed by the White House that if AP did not align its editorial standards with President Trump's executive order renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, AP would be barred from accessing an event in the Oval Office. This afternoon, AP's reporter was blocked from attending an executive order signing. Ugh, so fucking petty. It's so unimaginably stupid. Anyway, here, there was a decent question here in terms of conflict of interest. But if there's a conflict of interest when it comes to you yourself, for instance, you've received billions of dollars in federal contracts, is there any sort of accountability, check and balance in place that would provide any transparency to the American people?
There's a conflict of interest when it comes to you yourself. For instance, you've received billions of dollars in federal contracts when it comes to the Pentagon, for instance, which the president, I know, has directed you to look into.
Yeah.
Are you policing yourself in that? Is there any sort of accountability, check and balance in place that would provide any transparency for the American people?
Well, are fully public. So if you see anything, you say, like, wait a second, hey, Elon, that seems like maybe that's, you know, there's a conflict there. It's not like people are going to be shy about saying that. They'll say it immediately, you know?
Including you yourself.
Yes. But transparency is what builds trust, not simply somebody asserting trust. So not somebody saying they're trustworthy, but transparency, so you can see everything that's going on. And then you can see, am I doing something that benefits one of my companies or not? It's totally obvious.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that.
No, you wouldn't. No, you are doing that. You literally brought up fraudulent and wasteful spending, talking about how the federal government offered millions of dollars to New York hotels in order to house migrants. That's not wasteful spending. That's the federal government actually trying to fix the crisis caused by Governor Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis by, without informing the local authorities, shipping and tens of thousands of migrants from the state of Texas into the state of New York to play political football with people's lives. In that process, the federal government has to step in and say, okay, for the overflow, we have to, in the interim period, we have to make sure that these people are housed. Okay, so what do? They pay hotels to house the migrants. Okay, that is not wasteful spending or fraudulent spending. That's just an understandable thing that the federal government did. You know what is actually fraud? A conflict of interest? When you are the president and you own a bunch of hotels and you actually overcharge the federal government to stay in those hotels during the duration of your presidency, and you make money that way with federal funds. That's actually a conflict of interest. That's actually wasteful spending directly. That is a direct instance of fraud. That's what Donald Trump did. But of course, no one will look at that and go, what the f are we talking about?
Segment or look in that area if we thought there was a lack of transparency or a conflict of interest. And we watched that also. He's a big businessman. He's a successful guy. That's why we want him doing this. We don't want an unsuccessful guy doing this.
Yeah. Also, you got this. Elon Musk's pushing into the financial services with a Visa deal while immediately after taking out the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It's crazy. Source, not doubting you, have just never heard of this till today. Which one do you want to source for? Donald Trump charging the federal government or the thing that he just brought forward? Here, Trump overcharged Secret Service by 300% for accommodations at his hotels. House Oversight Committee's report further called the ex-president's term the world's greatest get-rich-quick scheme. It is such a transparent instance of corruption, too. It's crazy. Also, Donald Trump did a cryptocurrency rug pull, dude. What are we talking about? Here's Ryan Grimm talking about the CFPB getting taken out and how devastating that is.
One of the coolest things that the CFPB, that's the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, did, that you may not have heard of. One, they said that if you have medical debt, that cannot be included on your credit score. And two, they stopped a practice of banks rigging your overdraft protection. The way it used to work is that, let's say you have $12 left in your checking account, and you go to the coffee shop, you get a $4 coffee, now you're down to $8. Then you pay for your parking, and that's $15. And now, boom, you're under zero. So you get an overdraft hit right there. What the banks figured out is that they could move the transactions around. So if you spent $15 and had 12 left, they would make that the first transaction that they hit. So boom, now you're $3 under. Then they hit the coffee. So you get 2 overdraft fees. And what they also figured out is that they could do that. And so whenever your balance would get close to zero, they would find one of your transactions that was higher than that balance, even if you had other transactions ahead of it. And so the CFPB said, you can't do this anymore. So that rule and the medical debt rule were put forward by Rohit Chopra, the CFPB director under Biden. And if you look at this statement here, this is from the White House announcing that among the reasons that it is shutting down or trying to shut down the CFPB, because it's completely illegal to shut it down.
Yeah, have fun with those overdraft hits again. You know what I mean? This is some shit that actually destroyed me as well in the past. Back when it used to exist. Back when I was a broke boy.
Are these two things. They reference, quote, they buried $50 billion in medical debt. That's a reference to that rule. And this thing where it says itself the authority to regulate Americans' checking accounts.
What's really frustrating about all of this, there's two things that really piss me off about this. Number one, this is the same party that forced the Biden administration's hand in claiming that the executive authority could not abolish student loan debt. Okay? Now they're saying the executive authority could abolish the Department of Education in its entirety. Think about that. Because when there's a will, there's a way. Nobody cares, okay? Nobody actually cares. It was just that the Biden administration had to play ball. They had to play by the rules, okay? That kind of attitude, that kind of opinion, that kind of subservience to institutional norms will always cause you to lose. And that is very frustrating for the American public. They just go, oh, ineptitude, every step of the way. Once again, over and over again, these Democrats cannot actually push for their agenda. The average American does not look at that and go, oh, well, their hands are tied. Okay, well, the Republican hands are tied too, but you see them bouldering through those binds every single day. Think about that. And this leads me to my second point, because a lot of people are like, why is Trump so popular right now? It's because a lot of Americans have grown frustrated with the way things are. And a lot of Americans hate the massive hurdles that are always happening, the gridlock that's always happening in Congress, the gridlock that's always happening in terms of like not following through on your agenda. Okay? So when Donald Trump actually boulders through this stuff, people look at him and go, well, at least he's doing something, without realizing that the things that he's doing are actually inherently harmful to the broader public and their interests. But it does not matter, because most Americans just look at that and go, well, at least he's doing shit. That's it. This is why I always try to tell all of you and all who will listen that the Democrats should behave like Republicans, not in terms of policy, but in terms of politics. That's it. That's it. Democrats should be playing politics in the same way that the Republicans do. Obstruct when you're not in power. And when you're actually in power, do everything you can to overcome whatever kind of legal or congressional hurdle is placed in front of you. Okay? That's it. That's it. But they don't do that. That's why it's laughable when you think about the Biden administration, which had every right to actually abolish student loan debt. They had all of the power, and the Supreme Court decided it was unconstitutional. F the Supreme Court. What are you going to do about it? But Biden was, of course, the wrong guy for that because he can't go on television and do what Trump does all the time, which is to say the Supreme Court is an enemy of the American people. They want people to be saddled with unlimited debt for the rest of your lives. They want you to be saddled with unlimited debt. They pulled a bullshit case out of nowhere that there was a financial institution being harmed. The financial institution itself said that there is no legal standing for this court case. Are you joking? Fuck the Supreme Court. Fuck that. What are you doing? The Supreme Court shut Biden down. They did pass it. Are you so sure that if the Supreme Court said no to Trump would ignore that? Should Biden? This take is amiss. Biden did attempt to forgive student loan debt. Brother, what are you saying? Do you hear yourself? The Supreme Court, especially under the Biden administration, was supremely unpopular. Okay? You have to play hardball. You can't just say, all right, well, they have awesome power at the end of the day. They should have changed the Supreme. They should have changed the Supreme, but just not listening to the Supreme Court is insanity. Yeah, well, when Donald Trump does that, you'll see. If it ever happens, he already has a completely captive supermajority Supreme Court, but if that were to ever happen, you'll see how this works, okay? It's insane for him too. Yeah, except he does insane shit that is not overall beneficial for the American public every goddamn day. And we just go, oh, what can we do about it? But in the eyes of the broader public, they look at that and go, well, that's my president right there. He's actually doing something. You're demonstrating the same exact attitude that is fundamentally leading Democrats to lose every step of the way. If you are, ironically enough, even if you are an institution defender, if you have one party that opposes institutions every step of the way, that will look to find any kind of legal jargon to justify their actions that continue with their agenda of deregulation, destroying the federal government, destroying the regulatory agencies, offering tax cuts for the wealthy. If you have a party that does not care about the rules or will find like some antiquated legal standard to claim that they have the righteous, like enough of a legal power to behave in this way, then you're always going to sit aside as the institutions are destroyed. Okay, we can do things, but saying Biden should just say fuck the Supreme Court, let them enforce it. Then we have a king, and I don't want a king anything. Dog, we already have a king, and that is because Biden was not aggressive enough. That is my point. And your attitude is the reason why Democrats fucking lose every step of the way. You're still saying, think of the norms as the current White House has taken a fucking taken lighter fluid and a match to the entire institution. And as the entire institution is falling apart, as everything is on fire, you just go, well, at least the structure still stands. We must protect what remains. You're basically hallucinating an alternative reality. Okay, you're hallucinating a reality where anybody actually cares about institutions and their infallibility. Aggressive, if you're saying we should do away with democracy, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't want a leftist monarch. First of all, I want a leftist monarch. You're a fucking moron if you don't think that you want a leftist monarch. It is democratic. Do you think that when the overwhelming majority of the public does not want abortion to go away, and then the Supreme Court decides, nah, it's going away, protecting that standard is democratic? No, it's not. It's inherently undemocratic. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't even need to be a left-wing monarch in that regard. You're wrong. If you think the Supreme Court of 9 unelected lifetime appointment justices making up fake nonsense to decide and lying to the public, by the way, every step of the way, because all of the Trump appointees lied to the American public when they said they would not overturn Roe v. Wade. And then they ended up doing that. That was inherently undemocratic. And instead of addressing that and saying this decision is completely unacceptable, okay, the Democrats just basically said, oh, this is a great opportunity to fundraise. And people like yourself that are at the heart of the Democratic Party still maintain the position that, oh, they're trying their very best. You're libbed up at a time when liberalism has died, okay? It's over. It's over. It's done. It's so done. It's never been more done. And you're still trying to maintain this like aesthetic defense of liberalism and these institutions, and also simultaneously defend the Democratic Party. This is the reason why. This is the reason why the Democratic Party's approval rating is lower than Donald Trump right now. Okay? Who is this for? Who is this argument for? It's for nobody. This clip will not age well. What do you mean? You cannot try to fight fair with people who are not fighting fair at all. This clip will not age well is so stupid because guess what? It's already aging. It's crazy. He means you saying left-wing monarchy is democratic. Oh, whatever. I don't give a shit about whether it's a monarchy or a theoretical democracy or whatever the fuck, okay? Those are different and virtually all invalid forms of government. You're hyper-focusing on the aesthetics while claiming that it's actually a left-wing monarch that is doing this when they're abiding by the democratic standards. What are you talking about? Making sure that 9 unelected Supreme Court justices abide by what they have told the American public in front of Senate judicial hearings is actually maintaining the democratic principles, not the opposite. Okay? Do you understand? You can call that, oh, a left-wing monarch all day, every day. I don't give a shit what you call it. That is actually maintaining the democratic wishes. Drew Cook, can't wait for that part of the explanation to not make it to the clip chimp. I know. It doesn't matter, okay? It does not matter. Oh my God, people are gonna clip me out of context again. I speak for 8 hours a day, okay? If you want to truly address or truly understand what my perspective is, you can come in and actually fucking hear what I have to say. It doesn't matter. People have been doing this for the past 6 years, okay? Look at what is happening. Look at what is happening to America. Look at what is happening to the so-called liberal institution defenders. If your goal, as Donald Trump and Elon Musk are simultaneously lighting the federal government and all regulatory agencies on fire, if your job is to turn around and say, how can I make this about my least favorite Twitch streamer because my favorite content creator, loyal servant of him, then you're a pathetically unserious person. Stop. Nobody cares. Okay? Please. How is a leftist monarch good and what the point of saying it? That is what I missed. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't care about a leftist monarch or a democratic organization. My point is not that. My point is currently we don't have a real democratic process. And if you're defending the fucking Supreme Court, you're not defending democracy. That's my point. Stop maintaining like aesthetic sentiments about liberalism and institutions. You're not living in the real world. Look around. It's so funny to be like, oh, leftist monarchs, I'm terrified. What are you talking about? We literally have direct fascist control over the fucking government, and you guys are worried about a Stalin? What are you talking about? What the fuck? There is no leftism in this country, okay? The average American is not even class conscious a little bit, okay? Shut the fuck up. Stop looking to the most leftist person that you can point to say, I'm not like that. I'm so scared of that. See, I'm one of the good ones. Who is this for? There's dudes named Big Balls and Booger Eater ripping through the federal regulatory agencies and engaging in mass layoffs, and you're over here being like, well, the institutions. I'm scared. I'm scared of communism. The fuck? Be serious, dude. You know who was a left-wing monarch? FDR. Dumbasses. You know who's also doing FDR shit, but in the opposing direction, in the fascist direction? Donald Trump. Okay? That's it. If you want to understand why people think he's killing it right now, well, because Donald Trump is doing FDR shit, but in the opposite direction.
By dictating government price controls. That's how the banks say that the CFPB stopped them from moving transactions around to hit you with extra overdraft fees. Now, if you click on those links, they would actually take you to statements.
He was not. He threatened the Supreme Court. He threatened to stack the court, saying you ignore the Supreme Court. That is not FDR. You're wrong. I agree with you most of the time. I just don't agree with the idea that the solution is to do it Trump style. The only solution is to actually fight back. And people like yourself that are institution defenders are... What is happening right now? What the fuck? What the frick? That's weird. It's fine. My alert boxes are busted again. Okay?
By banks. So this is the Trump administration coming in, saying it's here for working Americans and going and doing so that they can keep ripping you off.
Oh, Big Balls heard you and hacked you. Yeah. Elon admits he will tell some lies.
That an example of the fraud that you have cited.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, oh, my bad. Yeah, we dominated the media cycle for like 48 hours nonstop. But here's where we're at.
Was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact check this, apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about.
Musk, you said on X.
Why are the freaks so active recently? Is this admin cooking like the disease left like a fever or what? No, that person who is criticizing me is not like a regular old right-wing freak. He's just a liberal, okay? He's a liberal who thinks that aesthetically or not, there is still some reason to maintain like a defense of institutions at a time when the Republicans are shredding said institutional norms to suit their agenda. And they are looking at this, okay? They are looking at the situation and basically advocating for a reality that does not exist, and a reality that actually has caused the Democratic Party to lose over and over and over again. Got to hold up those institutions and stop fascism. It always worked. Look at Germany. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.